I am OMG's Indir here live at UCF for the CSL Collegiate Finals. Sitting next to me, I have the one, the only, Day 9, also known as Sean Plott. Well, I guess you're Sean Plott, also known as Day 9, aren't you? Would it be funny if your mom, like, you came out of the womb, she's like, you know what I want to name you? Day 9.
The brackets are on the birth certificate.
Yeah. So, easy question. CSL, what does that mean for you, a guy that loves to promote esports?
Well, what I really love about CSL is that it emphasizes the fun in competition. I feel like so often you can watch the pros play or watch the pros stream, and it feels like this distant, difficult thing to do, almost like if you were watching American football on TV. It's really fun to watch. It's a great sport, but you have to own 11 sets of full body armor and a team. We need another team with their body armor, and you need like a nice, huge field. And with StarCraft, a whole bunch of friends can just get together and play. So it emphasizes the fun of competition, how easy it is to just pick up and go. And I think more importantly, it's that geographically tight community that's actually coming together and playing.
Well, you speak from a little bit of experience. For those of you guys that don't know, Day 9 actually is a Harvey Mudd alumni, actually CSL alumni as well. So he played several games with it. Are you speaking from experience, dude? Is the fun what draws you, like when you were playing back then?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's just like with any gaming community, and I mean like small gaming community, not the huge ones like Team Liquid. I mean like you and your neighbor and your brother, you know, like that little group that's tightly social and are, you know, gaming super nerds, right? Like at college, it was so great to play in CSL and win a game, and then we go to ace match, and then, you know, a player would have to go out and everyone would be like, come on, win, you can do it, and then he'd win, and then you'd see everyone at lunch, and you'd all be sharing those stories, and it would be such a personal, fun thing that it was almost like less of it was in the game and more of it was that social experience of everyone coming together and talking about it. So that was always hugely fun to just not just win because winning's cool or because your team wants you to win, but just because they're your friends and you know them and you can talk about it.
One of the things that obviously we're doing it a little different this year, normally the CSL finals are casted by Day 9, but we are online. We're actually live at a venue this time, and one of the things that's really big for me is I can't recall when there was a team league outside of Korea that was live, ever, that wasn't a bunch of Koreans. So what does that mean to you?
Well, I mean, I love the fact that it's just showing the diversity that's available. Well, there's two things I really like about it. For one, it just sort of elevates the level of play. I mean, obviously the competition is sort of core and central to StarCraft 2, but this is just a for-fun event that a lot of people are doing just to bond with their classmates, and it's been promoted to this level where we have like a whole LAN area, and there's huge array of seats and projectors over here, just taking it to that level of seriousness. And also, kind of like you say, there's not that many team leagues that show up live and have the huge venue. It's just sort of showing the variety of content that you can have, and it's just cool to see huge groups of organizations doing all these different sort of like new content.
Now, obviously, we're here at the finals. You know, this is after about 320 colleges. Yeah. I know, just small. You may have heard of us. Now, these guys are going to take it a little bit seriously, and a lot of them have dreams and aspirations of being pro gamers. Is this where you start?
Well, it's kind of weird in the esports space because nothing is clearly defined. It's almost like there is no industry. No one gives you a job in esports. You have to create your own job in esports because there's just no big organization. It's not like a Microsoft that's just sort of constantly plowing forward. So for people who want to become pros, it's difficult because there's not a clear set of steps. Like, for instance, with a pro sport, maybe there's basketball courts in my elementary and middle school. And then I start playing basketball really seriously in high school and start trying to compete on a state team. And then in college, I get a scholarship. And when I get out of college, maybe I'll get into the NBA. There's these rungs to climb up. But in esports, there are no rungs. It's just, okay, hope you get picked up by a team and then win a tournament. And boom, you're at the top. So I like that CSL creates one of these nice middle rungs. It's not someone who has dedicated themselves fully to the game. It might be someone who wants to dedicate themselves fully to the game, and this is a chance to step in and get some publicity. And just like everyone who watches collegiate sports and, let's say college football, they know that it's not quite the caliber of NFL, but it's an important component to it, and it is competitive, and it is really awesome to see, and it's like the perfect place for people to step up.
Now, what I kind of gather from that, as anybody who ever watches you kind of gather from any of your dailies, you clearly are a thinker. And it seems, huzzah.
Glad everyone fell for it.
Well, what I'm kind of gathering from that is it seems like you've put a lot of thought into like the structure of esports, and maybe like you are esports god right now. You have billions of dollars, you have whatever. What do you do to kind of create that? What system is it that Sean Plott wants to see in esports?
I'd probably say the biggest thing that I've thought about is esports at a high school leading into college level. Like those are the two big ones. And I mean, the other one that just kind of will eventually happen is just people who've played games all their lives will start having babies and raise their babies to play games. But I don't know how billions of dollars would encourage that. I just like hand out money. It's like, you had a baby, an esports baby, here, take $1 million. But definitely the high school and collegiate infrastructure would be one, because if you think about the way that you learn, let's say again American football, no one ever pulled out a manual and read the rules. Most people don't even know the official real rules. It's all culturally taught. It's all someone saying, no. It's 4 downs to get 10 yards, not 5 or 3. And that's just the way that you learn. It's a cultural manual. So I like that idea that you would step into high school and you wouldn't know StarCraft, or you wouldn't know, let's say, Street Fighter 4 and these other awesome competitive games. But there's a club there with a captain and a team who sits you down and says, no, this is how it's played. And then at the lunchroom, they're talking about it. And when a big match comes, they all get together and watch it. And then they like step into college, and there's some serious competitors who start to really continue to train and practice. And I feel like that if that gets established, then we're set. Then we're really good.
Little bit of a scary thought of culturally accepting rage quitting. And could you imagine like rage quitting babies born of Greg? Or little babies dancing after they've defeated their other baby friends on them, and their little Pampers running around. I beat you, like on stage, like the nanny wall celebration.
Well, I don't actually think that that's that big of an issue. I mean, obviously, there's that fun stigma about rage quitting. Like, oh my God, the guy rage quit. Oh, that's kind of fun to say. But if you think about like real sports, people get frustrated, even when they're not playing at a high level. I remember even in high school playing on an Ultimate Frisbee team. And
you would play Ultimate Frisbee?
I would, and I love Ultimate Frisbee. I played for 4 years. I have a wicked backhand. With the Frisbee, it sounds like I have a wicked backhand. Anyone who disrespects me, I smack them down, and they're like, "Oh, that was so impressive." but I even remember we played a team, and it was like, I don't know how this tournament worked, but it actually had like, of an 8-team tournament, a 7th, 8th place match. So that way they could definitively determine who was dead last. And we got 7th, right? We got second to dead last. I remember the other people on the team were like, ah! It was the 3 kids specifically who were just like, ah! And we walked away and we weren't like, well, this is bad. This is a problem that Frisbee has. Everyone just sort of accepted, yeah, it's frustrating, because they were trying, right? They weren't goofing around. They really just didn't want to be dead last. They wound up dead last, and that stings. And
real quick, we've been all over the esports stratosphere kind of with our conversation. Let's bring it back to the CSL. What are you excited to see here?
What I'm really excited to see is honestly just high caliber gameplay, because I think that there's this optical illusion that unless you're a tip-top pro, you're total garbage. You can't do anything. You forget every pylon. You stop at 16 workers and never build anymore. It's cool to see people who are capable of thinking at the same level of pros, nearly executing at the same level of pros, but that you haven't heard of. And they're still full-time students. And I think that can be a real inspiring piece for Sorry, I got my ADD went crazy with the buzzing. But I think that can be really inspiring for a lot of people who will say things like, well, I could never get that good because I can't devote full time to it. No, this is a college student. And if you're a college student, you can be just as good as he is. Like Ostoji, I think, is a real inspiring person for a lot of collegiate players or just people in college who want to be good because he is super, super talented.
It's insane.
He's really, really good and really mellow and hardworking in school and just a really nice guy. And I know a lot of people look up to him for that. And I think that that's what's really nice about a tournament like this.
I got to ask you for the drama questions. Who's going to win? Don't back away from me, Sean. Give me an answer.
Probably have to go with Washington.
Washington.
I mean, they have Kawhi Rice and Caliber, so they're just having two monsters is always.
Did you hear the little story going on that actually Carnegie Mellon's coordinator paid Kawhi Rice to train them?
I didn't.
What do you think?
I think Kawhi Rice would probably have really good value. He's a good player. I can't foresee him earning money to coach a team and then being like, all right, everyone 4-gate every game. And then he starts to play and he builds 3 bunkers at the start of the game. Like that's
Well, no. What I'm saying is less about does he give them strategies and then know their strategies, but what do you think of the quality of Carnegie Mellon at that point?
Well, I think that that's an example of people realizing that they don't have to be anything special to get help and support and to take it seriously. I even remember there were similar things that happened in the After Hours Gaming League, which is kind of similar to CSL, except instead of colleges, it's corporations. Hearing, things like Team Microsoft all got together twice a week and would play for 4 hours, just because that's what they decided they were going to do. And they would watch pro games together, and one of them was friends with a pro who would come in and talk, and they started to just take away the entire league. They just got so good. And it's, again, easy to fall into that trap of like, oh, but we're not a this, we don't have a team house, and we don't have big sponsors. It's like, well, you know Kawhi Rice, so you just contact him and now you're going to get good. That's great. And I really think that a lot of people should take more steps like that.
Do you think Kawhi Rice is a favorite for the All-Stars matches?
It's hard to say. I would probably go with Ostoji. Again, I think he's the strongest of the All-Stars, but Kawhi Rice is an interesting player because he doesn't have any sort of particular style or flair to him that makes people go, oh, that's the Kawhi Rice style. If you I'm thinking of like Jelizer's crazy aggression or MC's force fields or Huck's, top 3 control. You always hear these sorts of stories, but Kawhi Rice just plays as standard can be, like ultra Korean style. So he's always ends up being a wild card in my eyes. He's so good, but I've seen him both lose to people who are kind of very average players, but also, like at the most recent MLG, Sheth beats Pult, and then Kawhi Rice beats Sheth next round. And it's like, wow, that's really impressive. And then he goes into the groups and sort of quietly gets knocked out of the tournament without really having any of his games cast. So I definitely think he's one of those up-and-coming players, but I'd still probably lean a little bit more towards Ostoji.
Real quick, you mentioned MLG, and this is actually going to be our last note. We're going to have to cut this interview in a second. But MLG is actually bringing the KESPA players. They have officially announced the list. I just want your thoughts on that. What do you think about them playing there? I remember one time you said in an interview the idea that one day you might get to see Bisu gives you little girl chills.
Yeah, I like to do a lot of like the professionalism. Oh, it's esports, good. We're talking about industry growth, and it's good for that. And of course, when I hear about people like Bisu and Jadon coming over, I'm just like squee, like I just freak out, and that has not changed and won't. That's one of the reasons I stay in esports is because things like that still just titillate me.
I think that's a good place to cut it with Day 9 titillating. Thank you so much for the interview. Thank you so much for being here. I don't think that there is a better model in esports for you, but besides you, I mean, seriously, you come from casting big things like MLG to casting the little things like CSL, and that is so important to us, and thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. I always think that the reason that esports will ever succeed is because of the grassroots community efforts. So if you're out there and you want to do something for esports, go do it. You should.
Do it.